Hey, you guys probably know this, but we love video games, obviously. We love celebrating them. From the new hotness to classic series, we just love revisiting. We're just all about it. Now, sometimes, though, we gotta go negative. Sometimes explaining why a game disappoints you actually ends up helping you realize why you love games and what you want from games in the long run, if that makes sense. So today, we're gonna highlight 6 video game series that we think went downhill in one way or another. These are the gameranx team's picks. I'm sure you've got your own, so let us know in the comments. But let's get started off with number 6. We're gonna start off with the obvious one. It's Battlefield. Battlefield is really the new hotness in terms of hate. Just a month or so ago, we saw the release of Battlefield 2042, and for a lot of fans, it kind of served as the nail in the coffin after just a couple of years of disappointing releases one way or another. And like a lot of games on this list, it's worth pointing out that there are still some people enjoying these games, and we're not gonna hate on them for that. If you like this game, you do you. But Battlefield 2042 was a buggy, messy, half-baked release. Like a lot of games from 2021, it just needed more time in the oven. But with a franchise as big as Battlefield and with the expectations that come with it, from content offering to gameplay to netcode to everything, it was just really upsetting to see it released in the state it was in. Now this, of course, piggybacks on Battlefield 5, which some people really weren't into. I definitely didn't get the hate for that one so much, but it didn't hold my interest as long as Battlefield 1 did, that's for sure. The reason why we really wanted to point out Battlefield specifically is that it's going downhill, but we're looking at it like, can it still get back to the point of the glory days, the series highs, Bad Company, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, all the memories that so many of us had created in those games. A lot of Battlefield games always launch with bugs and glitches and problems, but nowhere near on this level. If anything, Battlefield 2042 on paper sounded like exactly what fans wanted: a focus on multiplayer, a focus on just fan favorite events and moments. Yeah, but we didn't quite get that, and it's unfortunate, and it's just another Battlefield game that just didn't quite do it for us. There's definitely room for a comeback, I think, and they're definitely gonna try, probably multiple times, and fingers crossed, we wish them luck. Next up at number 5, the Mass Effect series. Now this is another one that kind of pains me to say, because it's really only one game, one misstep, right? Most people were not satisfied with Mass Effect Andromeda, which released March 21st, 2017. Since then, nothing. We know the series is coming back, and we're really hoping that it's like the next big kickoff to Mass Effect being just fantastic and universally loved again, because that original trilogy is nothing short of amazing. We've talked about it so many times on the channel here. They re-released it in that Legacy Collection thing, and it was great to revisit them. But Mass Effect Andromeda for a lot of folks was just too buggy. The story wasn't as interesting, and a lot of people wrote it off. Now, to play devil's advocate, a lot of people that stuck with it found it to actually be pretty decent. But still, that aside, just looking at the recent track record of BioWare with stuff like Anthem means there is some valid concern here. So as much as the series technically went downhill a little bit, I'd say it's more of like a bump downward and not necessarily dead in the ground. I think the problem really is just the precedent set by that original trilogy. It was so good that it's hard not to compare, and any other Mass Effect game is gonna have such an uphill battle. But thankfully, BioWare is working on another Mass Effect. BioWare and EA realize that this is an awesome brand and cool sci-fi stuff, a really cool sci-fi world, so they're giving it another shot. And really, as Mass Effect fans, we wish them the best. Now next over at number 4, a series that has went downhill that personally really kills me to even say out loud, it's the Metal Gear Solid series. And it's not necessarily because the games got bad. It's because of what the owner, the holder of the Metal Gear series and the franchise name, the developer publisher Konami, has done with it. Metal Gear Solid series creator Hideo Kojima is no longer involved. There was a big nasty battle seemingly between them, and he left Konami to go and do his own thing and make some new weird games where Konami held on to Metal Gear Solid, the name, the brand, and they came out with Metal Gear Survive. And Metal Gear Survive was totally just this survival game cash-in using the husk of Metal Gear Solid 5's gameplay foundations, and it wasn't great. We were not happy with it. And it just really stung because the quality of Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain, was so high. It was just a really well-made game. It was really fun to play. Sure, the story was, for a Metal Gear fan like me, I wasn't crazy about it, but the gameplay was just pure, perfect fun stealth that translated really well to open areas and open levels. It went downhill not just because of Metal Gear Survive, but the fact that Konami is just sitting on it. They have this brand and it's basically dead in the water. They bring it out every once in a while to just like, sell merch, and that's really about it. I don't expect that to last very long. Konami is definitely going to smell money and realize that they have something lucrative, and they're going to make a game, whether it's a remake of the first game, a new game, who knows? And again, without Hideo Kojima, what that's going to look like, who knows? The Metal Gear series going downhill is a complicated one. It's not really black and white, but to get back to where it was, it's going to be a tough uphill battle. Next, over at number 3, we have the Medal of Honor series. Now, the Medal of Honor series was once one of the biggest first-person franchises ever. It was cinematic, it was cool, it was exciting. Everybody played them, from 1999's original Medal of Honor to the fantastic Allied Assault, Frontline, all the way up really until Medal of Honor Airborne. The series just did a really good job of having those iconic moments from history, having great production values, looking great, and just being immersive. The series went dormant for a little while, and then EA, the publisher, decided to bring it back and kind of reboot it with 2010's Medal of Honor, and it wasn't great. It just felt generic, the quality wasn't up to snuff, and it was just unfortunate. Then 2 years later, they tried again with Medal of Honor Warfighter, which was even more generic and even more busted and just really unfortunate. Besides a couple of cool car chase scenes and some decent encounter designs here and there, it just was not what people were looking for. And credit to them, they had a story that was written by real veterans, but unfortunately it just didn't take off like EA was hoping. Like, they were trying to build Medal of Honor back into this big brand, maybe make it their Call of Duty, the cynical person might say, but it just did not get there. Fast forward to 2020, where we actually got Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, but it's exclusive to VR. So a lot of people have not played it, and unfortunately, in terms of both critic reviews and user reviews, it's good, not great. Certainly not something to make you run out and go and buy an Oculus headset or anything like that, but it was made by Respawn. It has Michael Giacchino making the music, from the original days. A lot of the vibe, the World War II atmosphere is there, but it still just feels like a small sideshow thing. It's not totally what Medal of Honor once was. Can it regain its former glory? We don't know. There are so many other types of shooters out there. It's going to be really, really hard, but yeah, we wanted to talk about Medal of Honor, definitely. Now down to number 2, of course, we're going to mention another Konami property. It's Silent Hill. The Silent Hill series has gone downhill once again, like Metal Gear Solid, because Konami is just sitting on it. After like 1 or 2 failures, they decided just to not do it anymore. The last main series game was Silent Hill Downpour in 2012, and that served to kind of reboot things, revive things. There was less fog and more rain. The creatures were nowhere near as scary, and it just felt way more generic, and nobody really loved it. And then from there, the franchise really stagnated. Now we got that thing, we knew they were working on something called Silent Hills, and there was a PT playable teaser demo by Guillermo del Toro and Hideo Kojima and a team, and it was an incredibly scary little experience, a kind of proof of concept that blew people away, and then Konami canned that too. So it's like, what are you guys doing? It's really another one where just towards the end it got a couple of games, nothing absolutely terrible, but it's really about how Konami, the brand holder, is treating it and not doing anything with it. That makes it feel like, to us, it went downhill, and it could be forgotten. Thankfully, of course, there are rumors all the time that there is a new Silent Hill game in the works, so we may have to update this video eventually, but for now, that's where we are. Now down to number 1, ooh, this one's painful for some of us here personally. It's Dynasty Warriors. The last Dynasty Warriors game was such a bummer. Dynasty Warriors 9 released February 8th, 2018, and it was another victim of a brand trying to chase the open world trend. It tried to make Dynasty Warriors more of an open world quest-driven experience, and it turned out to just be absolutely dreadful. It wasn't fun, it felt half-assed, it was cornier than ever. Not that that's always a bad thing, but here it was just not a satisfying game to play. And since then, we haven't really seen much from this brand, and it's a shame because Dynasty Warriors is such a unique concept. You might look at it and think it's stupid, but they are so fun to play. Waging war in these crazy battles and just creating chaos was so much fun. Some of the stories were actually pretty compelling in their own ways, and the world just hasn't been able to experience anything like that in a while. 9 was such a stain on the franchise, and that fan base being so hardcore, we don't know how it'll ever recover. Of course, we hope it does. We root for the best always here, but we'll just have to wait and see. So those are 6 video games we think have gone downhill for various reasons. Like I said, it's interesting. It's not always just about the quality of a game. There's all these other factors, so we want to hear from you guys in the comments. What game series to you went downhill? Have you played the 7th or 8th or 9th or 10th or 12th game in a franchise and you're finally realizing, man, this is not as good as it used to be for some odd reason? Let us know. If you enjoyed this video though and chatting games with us today, all you got to do is click the like button. We would very much appreciate that. But if you're new, consider subscribing as well. We put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.